Okay, welcome back dudes and dudettes, it's Richie here and welcome to Quan Masters. Now we're going to head off to uncharted territories now. Typically, need to find the top corner of the map, so let's have a look at that. There is a few things to do up here, so hopefully we should be able to do it in one episode. If not, we'll try and carry it over. And we're in the top corner of the map now. Now kind of moving off to Organon. And let's head north and see what we can find. That's a good contender. See if anyone's around here. Possibly not. There's someone approaching us, so let's go and say hello.
Greetings, fellow carbon creatures. May your roots always be well watered. I am Captain Ala Lala. We come in peace.
Shoot to kill.
Our starship is called the Tender Shoot. We are the Supax Utricularia from Earth. Oh yes, we apologize for the confusion. Our home world is also called Earth, or more properly, Fleck, which means perfectly good and nutritious dirt. Earth is pretty close, is it not? We learn and we adapt. We are symbions. Our first step in making friends is always to copy them. This is our idiom. Our kind evolved on a beautiful planet, orbiting the wonderfully green-hued star Roots. From the canopy of the great jungle to the shores of the azure sea, our species has flowered and grown well. Early in our evolution, we adapted to exist in symbiosis with other hardier life, both flora and fauna, who supplied us with nutrients, while we supplied them with reproductive assistance.
I'm not sure I want details on that. I'm not exactly sure how a plant gets up and walks around anyway. Well, unless it's Triffids, of course.
Yes, this has been confirmed by our people as well. Strange, is it not? Many of our people regard this inconsistency as proof of our divine origin.
Okay.
We share this region of space with the Utwigs, the wearers of masks. We have a strong cultural bond with the Utwig. They have been the foundation around which we have grown our starfaring culture. We are not only allies, but we are also friends. You should go meet with them. They could use some excitement. You see, they are a little depressed and morose right now. Usually they are most festive and fun. They broke their Ultron. The Druge, the cruel, foul trading race who sold the device to the Utwig, called the device the Ultron, and claimed that it would give the Utwig superpowers. Unfortunately, the Utwig believed the Druge and bought the Ultron. However, the device did make the Utwig very happy. Of course, we didn't tell them what we really thought of the Ultron. That they were vapid fools to buy a piece of junk for a planet's ransom. We went along with the falsehood, and in doing so showed our own stupidity. Then, one sad day a few years ago, the Utwig Proctor dropped the Ultron during a particularly energetic and festive ritual. Now the Utwig are morose and depressed. They feel they cannot ever achieve greatness because they lost the powers of the Ultron. They even gave the broken device to us, saying that they couldn't stand the sight of it anymore. We are worried that the Utwig are so depressed that they they may use their ultimate weapon. Here, you take the Ultron. Maybe you can do something with it.
Yeah, they're just wandering around with it, carrying on the ship, yeah. Okay.
We thought that if we could get the Ultron working again, it would cheer them up. So, we tried to figure out how to fix the darn thing. Or at least get some of the flashing bits working again. But for all the Drooge's falsehoods, the Ultron is some kind of artifact. And we could not synthesize the necessary replacement parts. Perhaps on your journeys, you will find the elements necessary to repair the Ultron. Then you could give it to the Utwig, and maybe they wouldn't be so depressed.
No, worth a shot at least. Well, we should go and say hello to the Utwig now. I can see someone approaching. I'm guessing that's one of them. Yeah, friendly. Or not.
I suppose, as a courtesy, I should extend an appropriate greeting. On behalf of the Utwig Proctors, I truly hope, for your sake, that your day has been better than ours. Although this really isn't saying that much.
I'm sure last time I played it, they had a different voice to them. I'm not sure where it changed. They're a bit more high-pitched last time, I remember. Well, let's try and introduce ourselves.
What good would that do? I mean, why should we? We agonized for hours, wondering if it was a cruel twist of fate, or simply a serious case of butterfingering. Ah, the lifetimes that have been spent in the pursuit of the elusive answer to this deceptively simple question has driven many of us down the dark road of self-destruction. Indeed, even as these words strike the ears of any who care to listen, the real question is, does it matter? I cannot say. I wallow in quandary, unable to determine what better atones for my part in the great sin. Should I engage in slow and painful self-termination? Should I commit myself to a long life of painful self-flagellation? Should I throw myself with enthusiastic verve at the problem of collective annihilation? I do not know. Even my mind writhes in anguish of indecision, lest the outcome be inadequate.
Yeah, let's ask him about them.
We know nothing of this species that you mentioned. However, while we are on the subject of evil and powerful species, we have encountered a particularly gruesome race that seemed to come from the direction of Arcturus. When we hailed them, they responded with mighty weapons that sent our delegation to their deaths. Lucky fools. The aliens' dark, crusty battleships are capable of guiding spinning mines into almost any location. And should an enemy get too close, a fiery corona emerges to inflict fearsome damage. In our skirmishes with the race, who called themselves the Quan, we found that by using our own shielding capability, we could sweep through the mines, absorb the corona, and then get close enough to the dark ships to give a lick of our own. In truth, however, they are very powerful and ruthless. When the Quan started to press toward our homeworld, we thought that our deserved punishment was being administered. But then a mystery. They suddenly became disinterested and veered away. Ah, confounding frustration. With the Ultron, I could speak knowledgeably on this subject. To have this quality torn from our grasp emphasizes how meaningless our existence really is. This lack of meaning is what drives my species to the serious contemplation of a quick end.
Let's see if you know a bit more.
Your query once again painfully reminds me of the Ultron and what it was for the universe. I could tell you all, and correct all that is wrong in the universe. All I can tell you is that the core are live to kill. Their stated purpose is to seek out new life and new civilizations, and then annihilate them. We seem to qualify as such, and that is why it is puzzling that after pursuing us with some tenacity, they suddenly turned away and headed toward Quaterus. All of this speculation would be unnecessary if only we had saved the Ultron. It would not have taken much. A diving catch, a thrown pillow, even a fuzzy wampus would have broken the fall satisfactorily. Indeed, a panel convened to analyze the possibilities concluded that there were at least 623 ways the Ultron could have been saved, if we had been prepared. Let us cease our discussion concerning these matters. To say the least, our past is one of a glorious and proud people coupled with a cataclysm that rocks the universe to its very core. It all began when a chimp rose from the murky bog and the Utwig emerged as well. In these primitive times, we cavorted about our world, oblivious to any sort of higher purpose. We took everything at face value. Meanwhile, the tendrils of the chimp infiltrated the vast sky canopies of Faz, and then the veils fell. Suddenly, the Utwig was stunned by a collective realization. All immediately and urgently donned veils of every description. Hides, leaves, shells, rocks, and even living drells were donned in the early days. You see, the face is the mechanism that expresses many of the primitive qualities that hinder sentience. Now rid of the constant reminders of greed, rage, hatred, and lust, the wisdom of the Utwig was no longer hampered by constant reminders of the primitive urge. Over many generations, mask etiquette was refined to a rock-solid foundation of our society. Sure, the morality riots were expensive, both in lives and in infrastructure. But the result was better mask regulation, specification from your basic mask of grueling but necessary activity to the most highly decorated countenance of stellar representation. These were clearly defined. Recognizing the importance of flexibility, clear-cut and efficient procedures for revision and redesign dealt with the few anomalies. From that moment when we covered the source of our intellectual oppression, we knew that it was a grand purpose that defined our destiny. Are you still listening? Our entire development as a sentient species was coordinated to coincide with the appearance of a remarkable device. The Ultron. We were oblivious to its tragic implication.
It's a bit, goes on a little bit. I did mention the Korra going towards Craterus though. That could be significant.
In order for you to truly understand the situation, you need to know more about the Ultron and its unique capabilities. You see, when the Druge discovered the Ultron, they knew that it was ours. The Druge were compelled by intrinsic, universal direction to take it to where it has always belonged. They brought it to us. Oh, the Ultron. It assured total and complete meaning of life for all. The universal. With the Ultron in hand, I could sense not only your motivations and desires, but your purpose. I could act upon these things in ways that would most likely seem mysterious, if not, well, daft. Years later, you would herald our participation in your development as the turning point for your species. The Druge were only one of the few to benefit in this way. Even now, they are puzzled by the way we rewarded them for the delivery of the Ultron to its correct place. In 24 years, 2 months, and 3 days, they will all dance the dance of jubilation. Indeed, the Ultron has allowed us to fundamentally change the Druge forever. The Subox too received many benefits from our use of the Ultron. They can testify to its power.
They mentioned the Druge there. Somehow I don't think they're going to improve on them, to be honest.
Yes, things were perfect. What happened is, well, it is difficult to talk about. But I saw it happen. I witnessed the Jinzral celebration. I felt the Ultron fill the empty place that I did not know was there. I saw the Grand Proctor pass it too. Well, they say that the Chief Gru did not know that it was so heavy and slippery. Perhaps it was a combination of factors. Some who have reviewed the records claim that it was actually a conspiracy. The Commission investigation officially stated that the Ultron was rendered inoperative by the fall to the ground, yet many feel that the whole story has not yet been told. As it struck the ground, I saw its glow fade, and then the painful void incapacitated all. All Utwig immediately donned the mask of ultimate embarrassment and shame, with a vow to wear it forever. Bonfires all over Fars consumed all but this mask. No other mask was spared. The visage of ceremonial orations in all its contexts and revisions, as I'm sure you understand. All of the courting masks, from the clever and intriguing veil of flirtatious prancing to the infamous lewd monocle, all were consumed by the hungry flames. Even the most fundamental fixtures were committed to this irreversible fate. The mask of natural bodily excretions once hung in every lavatory. Most of the public facilities have removed the disposable mask dispensers, but every once in a while I still see such a repository, always empty. In despair, we gave the broken device to our allies, the Supocs, who live at Beta Libre. We just couldn't stand to look at it any longer. At that time, many suggested that we use the precursor relic as a form of self-punishment. The proposal was that we collectively go to the second moon of the sixth planet of Zeta Hyades at coordinates 850.3, 937.2, and use the ancient planetarian device to end our existence. After much discussion, we decided that we deserved to suffer. We can use the bomb if we ever decide the time is right. In the meantime, we atone for our grievous mistake with our collective misery. I suddenly sink into a chasm of depression. I must go.
Yeah, the text and speech didn't really match up at that point. Yeah, let's just ask him one last thing.
Alright, I'll try. But you know it really doesn't matter. After all, we have a famous Utwig saying, when one loses the reason for existence, one tends to get less motivated. This goes hand in hand with the painfully appropriate credo, we broke it, so we are paying for it. Of course, this isn't really accurate. The situation is so much more hideous. Imagine, if you can, holding within your hands the answer, only to have it haunt you with its former potential. Ah, cruel irony. The loss of the Ultron grieves us all.
Yeah, we've heard enough about the Ultron, I think.
As do we. Go now, with neither malice nor joy.
Yeah, while we're up here, there is one thing that strikes me as unusual. Where is it? Is it this one here? Yep, the most remote star from Earth. Or the furthest from Earth. So aside from the Utwig being somewhat down and a bit miserable, might be interested in joining us if we can get this Ultron repaired. Which I think we've more or less got most of the components we need for that now. Or at least 2/3 of it. What do you know? We got a Rainbow World. want a spoiler on how the rainbow worlds work, you watch now, otherwise fast forward this video a few seconds. All the rainbow worlds fall along this line. All rainbow worlds from that part anyway. And where's the other one? And vice versa. Looks like they're a giant arrow. So I think the other one is works into the relish space, so shall mosey on over there and say hello to them. And the one we need to take is, where is it? I don't think there is one actually close to it. Oh wait. I think this is probably the closest we can get to them. Also, I want to take the Ultron back to Earth and see what the scientists think of it. Could actually go and visit Zotfot Pick as well. We have to have some more information on the state of the war that's going on. At least they're not sending distress calls anyway, so I'm assuming they're safe for now. Maybe, definitely maybe.
Attention! This is the Starship Overwhelmer. We of Quantum 20 are glad to meet you here in space, a wise teacher from Earth. This doesn't really count as news, teacher, but war is truly magnificent, isn't it? The gut-wrenching sight of molten warships, the void, don't you?
I think we've heard about this before.
The long-range scouting team was sent to explore on planet 1 until they almost get happy home.
Yeah, we know
Try
about that.
not to get killed.
It's one of these planets, that's what I'm looking for. Trying to remember which one it was. I think it's Zeta Draconis. I could be wrong. It's definitely got to be in their space anyway. Gamma Draconis, maybe? Let's try this one. Damned if I remember where it is actually. We have something I need to steal or borrow an extended loan. Is it this one? I don't think it is. it's not that one. Let's try the innermost planet. That's probably bound to be it. No. A lot of Draconis stars. This must be it. Essentially, we're not that far from the end game now.
I am Commander Zeta. The Gorger are glad. Farewell.
You're not crying out loud.
I am. Farewell.
I think this might be it.
I am Commander Zeta. Ho-yo-ho! The super strong human has returned to this, our most important planet. We, Gorger 20, bid you welcome. We orbit here, guarding that most precious of our relics, that which we hold most dearly, that which has been at the heart of all our cultures, except for Culture 9, and they don't really count. We guard the object which transcends mortal realms, the Aqua Helix. The Aqua Helix is our most precious relic. For the totality of our historical memory, the Helix has been with us. It guides, motivates, and rewards. It is the twisty thing that launched 1,000 ships. It is the relic all our cultures have held most. Oh yeah, I said that already. We know the Aqua Helix is great largely because all our previous 19 cultures have known this to be true. If the Aqua Helix wasn't anything special, why would we spend so much blood and passion over the little thing? It would be a colossal waste, an absurd travesty. Actually, this is what Culture 9 said during their 2-week period of dominance before Culture 10 wiped them out. Anyway, we remain convinced. We are Tradash, and all Tradash know the significance of the Aqua Helix. Therefore, the Aqua Helix is great. The matter is resolved.
Yeah, sounds really cool. Do you mind if we go down and just kind of steal it?
Why, certainly. Go ahead and land on the planet and take a look at the most precious of all our relics. The relic we hold most dear, as have all our cultures.
Oh boy. Well, we're not going to save the galaxy by being good guys all the time. Yep, they're going to get pissed off a bit with what I'm about to do. Report from surface. Captain, we have discovered some sort of alien shrine here on the surface. The building is immensely old, at least 2,000 years. Inscribed around the perimeter of this cylindrical shrine are innumerable hieroglyphs which document the history of each of the 19 Tradash cultures. Well, they haven't got mine up yet. From what we have seen, we have learned that the Tradash have risen to starfaring technology at least 3 separate times, only to nuke themselves back into the Stone Age again and again. The real surprise, Captain, was what we found inside the shrine. We knew the Tradash kept something down here, but we didn't know what it was until we were inside the shrine. In the exact middle of the structure was a tall dais of white stone, Set atop this dais was an immense aquark gemstone, somehow shaped into a flat twisted ribbon like a DNA helix. The aqua helix emitted incredible light pulses, illuminating the cavernous shrine like a giant strobe light. At least it did. Until Private Hendrik decided to see what would happen if he grabbed the artifact. The helix immediately ceased glowing and has remained quiescent ever since. We will bring the aqua helix back aboard the ship for further investigation. End of report. Oh, work here is done. So now the next stop is Earth and see what I think of all this crap we've got. And I should remember this off the top of my head by now. And it looks like the Marcon are running back to their home space. They're considerably smaller than when they left. It seemed like a siren has slaughtered them.
Good to see you again, Captain.
Yep, tell me what I've picked up.
The analysis reads as follows. Subject, sun device. Data, the unit contains a power generator whose output magnitude is simply mind-croggling. When activated, the device radiates energy equivalent to less than 1/100th of 1% of our sun. However, when placed close to a planet, perhaps in orbit, its output would rival Sol's. Summary? Another precursor tool, the energy output of which can replace or augment a sun's radiance. The next entry in the analysis is subject, rosy sphere device. Data, the specimen is 5 centimeters in diameter, perfectly smooth and composed of a blood-red translucent substance. Tests show that it has atypical ferromagnetic properties, but is utterly non-conductive. Summary, probably a precursor tool. Function, unknown. The next entry in the analysis is subject, aqua helix device. Data, this device is composed of a light blue super-hard substance which rates Mohs 13. The object is composed of a flat ribbon of homogeneous material approximately 1 meter in length, and it is twisted in a perfect helix. Focused ion and nucleomagnetic scans reveal little about its interior. Summary, unknown design, unknown origin, unknown function. The next entry in the analysis is subject, Ultron device. We put this thing through every test we've got and came up with the same results as if we used a fork. Nothing, zero, zip. This thing ever functioned, which we doubt, it certainly won't now. Age and physical stress have long since robbed it of whatever mystical powers it might have once had. Summary, in the future, please don't waste our valuable time on junk like the so-called Ultron. That's the end of our scientist's report.
Savage.
Blow up an Quan for me, Captain.
What would happen if we tried repairing it a bit?
I hope the battle fares well, Captain. The analysis reads as follows. Subject, Ultron device. Data, first we thought this was a piece of junk. In fact, it may still be just that, but when you submitted it to us, we infused it with gamma radiation and found that the scatter signature was identical to the patterns recorded from the empties, the singing hoops, and the big dud, which were all found in precursor burrows on Procyon. Summary, we are now convinced that this is a precursor tool, but it remains dysfunctional. That's the end of our scientist's report. Blow up an Quan for me.
So let's try repairing it once more. and see if we can shed a bit more light on it.
I am at your disposal. The analysis reads as follows. Subject, Ultron device. Data, the Ultron is partially functional and we can detect energy emission from the device. We suspect that the unit requires additional minor repairs before achieving full functionality, and at this time we cannot make an assessment of its capabilities. Summary, a single additional replacement part should bring the Ultron to life. That's the end of our scientist's report. Try to avoid getting...
And time to fully fix it.
Captain, The analysis reads as follows. Subject, Ultron. Data. We have determined that the so-called Ultron is in fact the appendages of Dawn, described in the precursor fragment found on Rigel in 2123. In the partially translated precursor text, the device is described as a mental amplifier which focuses mental energies of the holder for the purpose of discrete change. Unfortunately, human brain emanations do not seem compatible with the Ultron, nor do those of the allied species we have tested. Summary? Perhaps the Utwig who claim to understand this device can shed some light on its true function and power. That's the end of our scientist's report.
Yeah, I think that's his probably
Bring
last
back
trip to the
lots of minerals,
starbase.
Captain.
Penultimate trip back to it. I think I'll need all these starships I've got here. Time to save here, and I think we'll call the episode here. So, thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I shall see you soon.